Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the secret language of film, all those hidden meanings tucked away in what seem like simple lines of dialogue. We often think about movies in terms of what we see, but what if the most powerful story is actually the one we only hear? Okay, let's kick this off with a really powerful idea from the literary critic Kenneth Burke. He basically said that every story, every film, is a strategy. Think about that for a second. Art doesn't just happen in a vacuum. It's a writer's very specific, calculated response to some kind of problem or situation. And this idea completely changes how we should think about dialogue. It means it's not just characters talking at each other. No, it's a deliberate plan. It's a way to navigate a tricky situation, to reveal who a character truly is, and to push the story forward. It can be an action, a weapon, even a plea, all disguised as just a simple conversation. So if dialogue really is a strategy, then how do we decode it? Well, we can actually break it down into 3 hidden layers. And trust me, once you start listening for these, it might just change the way you watch movies forever. It all starts with what you see here on the surface. Literally, the words the characters are saying out loud. That's the easy part. But the real magic, the really cool stuff, happens in these deeper layers. What those words actually symbolize, whose point of view they're revealing, and how those words actually function as an action. So first step, words in dialogue are often working as symbols. They carry all this meaning that goes way beyond their dictionary definitions. They're almost like little containers, just packed with emotions and ideas that are totally central to the story. Kenneth Burke actually had a name for this, a symbolic cluster. Think of it like a web of associations that a writer builds throughout the story. So, for instance, if a movie keeps linking, say, a rainstorm, a broken mirror, and a lie, then later on, when a character just mentions the storm, that one word can carry all the emotional weight of deceit and brokenness. A fantastic example of this is from O. Henry's short story, The Furnished Room. In it, the faint scent of a flower, minuet, isn't just a smell. It becomes the symbol for absolutely everything the main character is searching for. Love, the past, basically his entire reason to live. That one scent ends up representing this whole cluster of his hopes and his loss. And that's really the key takeaway here. A single word, a single image, can become a container for the story's entire emotional weight. So when a character says mignonette, we're not just hearing a word. We're feeling the loss, the hope, and the tragedy all at once. It's just incredibly efficient storytelling. Okay, next up, perspective. The words a character uses don't just carry symbolic weight. They reveal a completely subjective reality. What we're hearing isn't always the objective truth. Sometimes it's actually the character's hope, or maybe even their delusion. Linguists have a term for this: protagonist projection. It's this really subtle but powerful way to put us, the audience, directly inside a character's head. It forces us to see the world through their eyes, even when we suspect they might be wrong. Just take a look at this classic example. At first glance, this sentence doesn't make any sense, right? It's a contradiction. How can they be diamonds if they're actually glass? But it's not a mistake. It's a clue that we're dealing with perspective. And this just illustrates it perfectly. You've got 2 perspectives embedded in one single line. The word diamonds is used because that is what the character believes she has. The storyteller lets us experience her hope, her delusion, right alongside her, before revealing the objective, and often heartbreaking, truth. This technique, which is often called free indirect discourse, is just a masterclass in showing, not telling. It seamlessly blends the narrator's voice with a character's internal world. And what that does is create this deep sense of intimacy and empathy, all without ever having to say something clunky like "she thought." And that brings us to our final, and maybe most dynamic layer, dialogue as action. See, words aren't just for description, words do things. A single line of dialogue can be an event that's just as powerful as a car chase or a fight scene, and it can completely change the reality of the story. The critic G.E. Lessing argued that great drama is basically a chain of cause and effect. It's not just a random collection of interesting things happening. And dialogue is one of the most important links in that chain. A line of dialogue is an action that causes a reaction. So what does this mean in practice? It means every line of purposeful dialogue is an action. When a character says, "I'm leaving you," they haven't just described a feeling. They have created a brand new reality. That one sentence is an event, an action that forces every other character to react. and that's what drives the plot forward.
All right, so let's put this all together. Once you start actively listening for these three layers, symbol, perspective, and action, your entire experience of watching a film is going to change. Seriously.
Because when you understand these hidden strategies, watching a film becomes so much more engaging, so much more interactive. You're not just passively following a plot anymore, you're actively deciphering this complex and beautiful code. So think of this as your new decoder toolkit. You're now equipped to see the deeper machinery of storytelling at work. The next time you're watching a movie, just try it. Actively listen. Ask yourself, what words keep popping up? Whose truth am I hearing right now? And how did that line of dialogue just change everything?
So the next time you watch a movie, listen closer. Because the most powerful stories aren't always being told right on the screen. A lot of the time, they're being whispered between the lines. The only question is, what will you hear now that you know how to listen?